A house for $50,000 should not exist anymore. In many places that would not cover a down payment, the mystery is why buyers still walk away. A $50,000 home can feel like a ticket to security, especially as prices soar elsewhere. But the real cost of ownership starts after the sale, and it often comes as a shock. Property taxes, for example, are not simply based on what a new owner pays. They follow the assessed value set by local governments, which can lag behind real market declines. In places like Ohio, laws such as House Bill 920 were designed to protect homeowners from sudden tax hikes when property values rise. Yet these same rules do not guarantee relief when values fall. The result is a kind of tax inertia. Annual bills remain high even as the price of a house drops. This disconnect is not just a quirk of one state. Across the country, research shows that tax assessments tend to adjust quickly when the market is booming, but rarely fall as fast when prices collapse. In cities like Flint, Michigan, or Youngstown, Ohio, it is common for a home's tax bill to eat up nearly 2% of its value each year. In Detroit, the numbers become even starker. A median-priced house faces a tax burden that can swallow almost the entire value of the property over time. For buyers, the so-called bargain starts to unravel as these fixed costs pile up. Insurance brings another layer. Even though the house itself may be inexpensive, premiums do not scale down in the same way. Insurers set rates based on regional risk, age of the home, and claims history. In some markets, the monthly insurance bill can rival or exceed the mortgage payment. Together, these carrying costs, taxes, insurance, and other unavoidable expenses form a hidden second price. They turn what appears to be an affordable home into a long-term financial commitment that can quickly outpace the low sticker price. For many, the dream of cheap homeownership fades as the true cost of staying put comes into focus. In Detroit, the promise of a $50,000 home can vanish the moment a buyer looks at the annual tax bill. The city's homestead millage rate hovers near 68 mils, more than double the Michigan average. For a typical house assessed at $52,000, the yearly property tax can reach $45,893. That number alone can end a sale before it begins. Buyers, often drawn by the low sticker price, sit down with a calculator and realize the tax burden will consume nearly the entire value of the home within a decade. It's a calculation that turns hope into hesitation. The mechanics behind this are not hidden. Detroit relies on a high millage rate to fund basic services after decades of population loss and a shrinking tax base. State law requires that the assessed value, set at half the market price, is multiplied by this rate regardless of what the house actually sells for. Even as home values plummet, the tax bill remains stubbornly high. For someone considering a $50,000 purchase, the annual payment can rival what a homeowner in a much pricier city pays, without the upside of rising property values. Buyers who do their homework often walk away. The math does not just erode the appeal of the deal, it freezes demand. Some owners, faced with bills they cannot afford, try to resell immediately, but find few takers. The market for these homes stalls, not because of the buildings themselves, but because the recurring costs have outgrown the promise of affordability. Along riverbanks, creeks, and low-lying streets, a $50,000 home comes with a risk that no buyer can negotiate away. The landscape has changed as FEMA's revised flood maps now place entire neighborhoods into high-risk zones that were once considered safe. The old idea of a 100-year flood no longer holds. Major storms arrive more often, and what was rare is now routine. For homeowners, this means a basement that never truly dries out, walls that bear the stains of last year's water, and the constant threat of mold returning after every heavy rain. Insurance, once a minor line in the budget, becomes a monthly burden as the National Flood Insurance Program recalculates premiums to reflect these new dangers. In 2026, Average NFIP rates rose by 15%, with some areas seeing even sharper increases. For many, the cost of required flood coverage now rivals the mortgage payment itself. Contractors, responding to repeated flood repairs, submit bids that climb each year as materials and labor grow scarcer and more expensive. The cycle of damage and repair becomes a quiet drain, making the promise of an affordable home feel more like a wager against the next storm. In these places, the real price is set not by the listing, but by water's steady return. A house is never just its walls or roof. For many, the real test comes when someone in the family needs a prescription filled, a specialist visit, or urgent care in the night. Over the past few years, more than 1,000 community pharmacies have closed in Pennsylvania alone, leaving entire towns without a place to pick up medication or get basic medical advice. These closures are not isolated. Across rural America, the loss of local pharmacies and clinics has turned once connected communities into care deserts. The impact deepens at the hospital level. Since 2010, 182 rural hospitals have shut their doors, and nearly half of those that remain operate with negative margins. This means that even routine care, like chemotherapy, prenatal checkups, and emergency services, moves farther out of reach. For retirees, older homeowners, and families with young children, the distance to the nearest provider can stretch from a quick drive to an hour-long journey. When ambulances must travel farther, outcomes for heart attacks, strokes, and accidents worsen. Even managing chronic conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure becomes a logistical challenge when the nearest pharmacy or clinic is miles away. A low-priced home on paper may look like a fresh start, but when the nearest doctor, nurse, or pharmacist is gone, the house becomes an island. The cost is measured not just in dollars, but in the daily strain of living without a reliable safety net. For many, that risk is simply too great to justify the bargain. Beneath the surface of a rural bargain lies a different kind of uncertainty. In many small towns, public water and sewer lines never arrived. Instead, homeowners rely on private wells for drinking water and septic systems to handle waste. These systems are out of sight, but their condition can decide whether a $50,000 house is a manageable investment or a ticking financial risk. A well might draw clean water for decades, or it could be hiding problems, contaminants, failing pumps, or a dwindling supply. Septic systems are built to last 20 to 30 years, but age, soil, and neglect can shorten that span. When a septic tank or drain field fails, the warning signs may be subtle at first: a slow drain, a patch of soggy yard, until a full replacement is needed. The cost can range from $8,000 to $21,000, sometimes more than the down payment on the house itself. Drilling a new well or fixing water quality issues adds thousands more. Repairs are rarely covered by insurance, and many buyers discover these expenses only after moving in. Local tradespeople, familiar with the rhythms of rural infrastructure, know that maintenance can be put off for years, but failure is never far away. What looks like a cheap escape from city prices can turn into a gamble on hidden systems that no inspection report can fully guarantee. For every story of a family settling in with confidence, there is another of unexpected bills, water tests, and the slow realization that affordability on paper can vanish underground. Distance from steady work changes the math on a $50,000 house. In towns where factories have closed or the main employer has left, a low sticker price cannot overcome the lack of nearby jobs. For working families, the promise of affordable home ownership fades when every paycheck demands a long drive. Commuting adds not just miles but real costs: fuel, wear on the car, and lost hours each week. National averages put the cost of driving at about 7.5 cents per mile, and for a 30-mile round trip, that is over $100 a month just to reach work. Without a strong local job market, these homes attract fewer buyers, and those who do buy often face the same hard choice: pay more in travel or look elsewhere. When the nearest job is far, the savings on a cheap house can quickly disappear, leaving both owners and the homes themselves stuck in place. Vacancy changes the feel of a street long before it shows up in sales data. When houses sit empty and lawns go unmowed, the message spreads quickly. This is a place people are leaving behind. Absentee owners, who may live hours or states away, often let repairs slide. Broken windows go unrepaired, gutters sag, and code violations multiply. Each neglected property makes neighbors more hesitant to invest in their own homes, eroding the sense of shared responsibility that keeps a block stable. For longtime residents, the shift is personal. They watch as familiar faces move out and empty lots appear where families once gathered. Over time, reputation takes hold. Buyers start to question not just the house, but the block itself. A low price becomes a warning sign, not an invitation. In these fragile neighborhoods, confidence is as much a part of the value as the bricks and mortar. In many towns, the most striking house on the block is also the hardest to save. A Grand Victorian, built before 1900, might list for less than a new car, yet every detail, from carved woodwork and stained glass to a slate roof, comes with a price. Preservation-minded buyers often start with hope, but soon face a list of repairs that dwarfs the purchase amount. Roof replacement alone can run $9,000. Fixing a sagging foundation may cost $20,000 or more. Rewiring and plumbing add another $15,000 to $20,000, and that is before hidden problems surface. In weaker markets, the total cost to restore often reaches 2 or 3 times what the house could ever sell for locally. The math rarely works, no matter how much someone values history or beauty. These houses become symbols of a larger problem. When the surrounding place can no longer support the investment, the idea of affordability loses its meaning. The true cost is not just in money, but in the slow erosion of a community's future. A home's price tag cannot measure the worth of a place where schools close, jobs vanish, and hope grows scarce. Today, the true cost is not just repairs. It is rebuilding community itself, because a house is only affordable when life around it remains possible. What would make you stay?